Wake up.
You're staring at the bottle. I don't know what's in there.
Okay, it's being recorded now. So let's go right to let's go right to hmm, our safety meeting. All right, I'll read the introduction in the first paragraph, and then I'll call on people to unmute themselves and read. Can everyone see this? Electrical preventing accidents? Is that a
Yeah.
yes? Okay, I'm assuming
Yes.
everyone can. Um, put this up here. Electrical preventing accidents. Introduction. Human error, poor maintenance, improper equipment design, and lack of training add up to disaster when it comes to electricity. Whew. To protect workers against the hazards of electricity, they need to know the basic facts about the causes of shock and death. The causes of death. Okay, so Armando, please.
Water and electricity don't mix. It's not the voltage that kills, but the amount of current that passes through the body. The condition and placement of the body has a lot to do with the chance of getting a shock. Water and electricity can be a fatal combination. Damp areas and metal objects can offer good shortcuts for electricity to reach the ground. Sweaty hands, moist or damp socks and shoes, a wet floor can and will allow a current to pass through the body. In wet winter months, extra caution should be observed when working with electrical equipment or
Catherine LeMay. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
when working near grounded objects.
Catherine LeMay, please.
Shock prevention. Wear rubber gloves, woohoo, hold on, and boots when working near water. Use rubber mats to stand on. Use insulated tools. Use rubber sheets, which can be used to cover exposed metal. Treat every electrical wire as if it was a live wire. Inspect equipment and extension cords before each use. Faulty electrical equipment should be taken out of service for repair. Do not use tools or electrical cords that have been bent or missing prongs. Make sure your tool is grounded. If there aren't three prongs on the plug, or if the receptacle doesn't have three openings. Turn off the power and report the smell of hot or burning plastic, smoke, sparks, or flickering. Stop using a tool or appliance if a slight shock or tingling is felt. Never disconnect an electrical plug by pulling on the cord. Make sure the circuit is turned off and locked out at the circuit breaker or fuse box when working on electric circuit. Only trained personnel should work on circuits. Those who work regularly on or around energized electrical equipment should be trained in emergency response and CPR.
Thank you very much. How about Colby?
If an electrical accident occurs, do not touch the victim unless you are sure the victim is not still in contact with the electrical hazard or that the electricity has been switched off. Remember to check for wires, fire, gas, glass to protect yourself from any hazards before touching the victim. If you are unsure of how to do this, get qualified help without delay. If the victim has been removed from all above hazards, check the breathing and pulse. If breathing or a pulse is absent, call for help and initiate.
Initiate.
Initiate CPR without delay.
And Josh, would you please read the conclusion?
Think safety when doing anything associated with electricity. Water makes up most of the human body, which makes the body an electrical conductor. An electrical current running through a body can range from a slight tingle to burns on the surface and or deeper within the body. to a harmful and potentially fatal electrical shock.
Okay, so I want to get out of that screen and I want to ask you guys. God dang it, I swear. I'm sorry. Give me a half a second. This is a pretty interesting topic, to say the least. So, sorry. Let's see. What I want to do is I want to look at everybody for a second. So I got to get me on here somewhere. I got to get me. Okay, here we go. Zoom navigator, view, gallery view. Okay, so can you tell me, have any of you been shocked by electricity anywhere, on a job site, at home? I see Michael shaking his head. John's been shocked. Aurelio's been shocked. No, anybody else? So could one of you, let's just say, John, tell us about your shocking experience, just briefly, please.
About 5 or 6 years ago, I was working for this contractor, and the first day I showed up on the job just to look at it, there were open wires sticking out by a door, and I walked and got shocked on the very first day.
Where did you get hit?
In the leg.
Okay. And what did it feel like?
Fun tingling.
Okay. So, Michael, did you say you got shocked? Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I've been shocked at not like a ton, but normally I get shocked a lot during summer when I'm welding because my arms get all sweaty and I'll be on metal and then my arm will ground out right when I go click the torch, and so it's just like, to me it just feels like a tingle muscle spasm. I don't know how to explain it.
Right, but how much voltage are you getting? Or are you getting static electricity?
My welder's like it's 220.
Okay, so from an arc welder.
Mine's MIG.
Okay, so from a MIG welder. All right, 220.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good hit. So it must not be crossing your body, because that's the real problem. When electricity crosses your body and it crosses your heart, it can stop your heart. But I'm going to tell this anecdote fairly quickly, and it's a little bit humorous and somewhat risque, but I had a guy working for me named Daniel, and he was a young kid, strong, good worker. He was a laborer, and he lived in IV. His girlfriend was a scion of a very wealthy family. As a matter of fact, the owner of Shearson Lehman, which owns American Express, was her father. So as it turned out, they had a lot of money. I'm not sure how this is germane to the story, but at any rate, he was working for me in a job, and he was hauling a big pantry, a full height, heavy cabinet. He had one end of it, and the lady, Sarah McCune, we're doing a library for, but this was the kitchen. She had a German guy who was a handyman, and he was doing all of her electrical for her. So, and he had a box made off with live wire sticking out, and Daniel backed into it and got hit in the right elbow. And he's the kind of kid, he wouldn't drop the pantry. So he held the pantry, and got shocked, for a couple seconds. And then, that all got fixed, and it was a kind of a big hullabaloo. And then Sarah and I agreed that we weren't going to make a comp claim out of it. Neither one of us wanted to do that. And then we would just give Daniel a week off, and we'd split his pay. And that's what we decided to do. And I'd call him every day and ask him how he's doing. Well, when you get a shock like there in the arm, it feels like you did curls maybe 1,000 times, because that's about what happens. You get all these impulses in your muscle. So his arm was really sore. He was sore for days, and and he was just weirded out by it, and thought maybe he was going to lose his arm and all this stuff. And so anyway, we paid him for a week, and then he came into my office on a Friday and asked to talk to me privately, and he sat down and said, I said, well, how's it going? He says, well, it's getting better and everything, and I just slightly sore, but I can't get an erection. I said, what? I said, dude, that has nothing to do with you getting shocked. I can see the workers' comp claim now. And I said, that has nothing to do with it. It's strictly muscular. You're going to be fine. And, you know, I suspect he was, because I never heard another word about it. And he went back to work, and eventually he stopped working for me not too long after and went to work for somebody else. And 2 years later, he was in a cave. The guy was accident prone. He was in a cave-in. He was in a hole that wasn't shored properly, and he was involved in a cave-in, and he, you know, it got badly. Basically, he got disabled, permanently disabled. And then I lost track of him totally. So be careful with electricity. It's the unseen thing. It will grab you. It will hurt you. It can kill you. Even a small amount of electricity can kill you. When in doubt, you know, don't touch it. You get a bona fide electrician to work on hot things. But what was I going to say? Electricity. Oh, I was going to comment on just as an aside. Electricity is like, it's like the coolest magic ever, right? Yeah, you pull the trigger, you hit the switch, turn the knob, all this incredible stuff happens, right? Your water comes through your pipes because of the electricity that runs the pumps and everything at the Decatur treatment plant. Your computer works electricity. You have cold food because of electricity. You have gas because of electricity. You wouldn't have gas either. It wouldn't be delivered to you. Basically, we would be back to the Stone Age without electricity. We'd be making fires. So it's amazing.
Hey, Rodney,
Yeah.
2 points, if you didn't mind. One was on an emergency level, when you see a person getting shocked, it's so petrifying. And the tendency is to run and grab them. If you have a board next to you, that you have to have something that won't be a conductor, right? That you can push them away from it versus running and grabbing them. Because
Well,
in our EMT class, they said, you know, you end up seeing a daisy chain of people getting electrocuted just because they don't do it. And the other thing is our bodies are electrical currents. If we don't have, you know, our electricity going through on our nerve endings, we're not alive for our heart. So it's pretty amazing. You're right. It's magical. It's amazing.
It's amazing stuff.
Thank you.
And thank you, Catherine, for pointing that out. That that's a pretty germane part of that safety meeting. Is if somebody's getting shocked, don't run up and grab them until you are 100% sure they're not in contact with the electrical source, because the current will just pass through them and into you. But I hadn't heard that, and it certainly wasn't in that. But if you can, grab a board or something that's non-conductive. Wood is non-conductive. Metal is conductive. Grab wood or composite or anything you can think of. I can't think of much else right now that isn't conductive. And maybe push the person away or push the whatever offending electrical wire is delivering the juice to them. Okay, we're done with current now, unless somebody else wants to say something else about electrical. All right, so we're going to go back to screen share. I'm going to, okay. I'm pinned. I've got to get rid of the floating meeting controls for now. I got to make you guys smaller. Okay, here we go. Everybody's seeing the electrical thing now, the safety electrical thing? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So here we go. Here's what we're going to do today. If this thing happens according to schedule, I'm going to show you a video I made. It's actually in 3 videos, but it's one video of a framing job that GFR framers, HFR framers did a little, maybe 11 or 1200 square foot ADU, and it's just absolutely stunning. We're going to take a break. I'm going to show some animation videos from our textbook on some really good videos on floor framing. I want to see a few of those, and then another break, and then I'm going to show the second set of videos if we have time. So without further ado, right now, okay, we're recording. It's the Friday before your lab tomorrow, and I'm here at 765 Hot Springs. I don't know if I should have said that, but I did. And I'm here on Hilario Fernandez's job of HFR Construction. His brother's Roberto, whom I know a little bit better, but I know these guys are incredible framers because they framed a job for me just now. And Hilario, how long have you been framing?
Well, since I remember, I think we've been working on this business since about 20.
Is there captioning on this video?
22 years framing. And then how did you learn framing?
Well, myself, I learned.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is there closed captioning on this video? I can't see.
I'll click on it and let's see if we can't make that happen.
Sweeping. I start sweeping on the job site.
Yeah.
Just come into the job site and the guy is okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Just
you.
Start sweeping. But you gotta prove it, you gotta improve yourself. And I asked the guy to give me more work.
Yeah, so that's what I tell guys, grab a broom, start by sweeping, and what'll get noticed is your attitude.
Right.
If you got the attitude where, what do I do next?
Right.
And use a broom, then you'll be picking up stuff and cleaning job sites, and pretty soon somebody will hand you a hammer and then a skill saw.
Correct. I mean, you get boring. After you finish sweeping, you just need to be busy.
Yeah.
And, the time just goes flying.
Yeah.
You get busy, you start learning stuff, and then once you realize that it's 3:30 or 4 o'clock, it's time to leave already. So
Yeah.
You can enjoy it.
Time flies when you're having fun. And we were just talking before I started videoing about customer service and attitude and stuff like that. Could you just comment on that a little bit?
Well, on my personal opinion, I think attitude shows the people that you want to be there for them and you want to be careful on what you're doing. And I think to be honest with you, the people can see that in you, and then you get answers from them. Once you ask a question, they right away. They give you the answer, and you just keep going, and going. Just better be careful.
I totally agree. So what do we got here? What's behind me? This is a project. Now you guys got here, is this slab on grade?
Yes, it is.
So you guys have framed it from after from the anchor bolts on the slab, right?
Correct.
When did you start framing it?
We start framing this actually the 25th. No, I wrote 22nd December.
22nd December. Wow, really? You guys.
And then we take days off, and then we come back. So basically, full time we probably have like 3 days.
All right. He means 3 weeks. He does not mean 3 days.
3-4 months.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty impressive, really. And is this an ADU?
It is an ADU for.
What's the square feet?
I think I'm not really sure about that number, but I think it will be around 600.
Yeah. I think it's actually closer to 1,100, maybe 12. I did a quick calculation. You'll see later. I thought 800 was the limit. I think 800 is the limit, and it's 1,200 for guest houses. But let's walk down and take a look at your framing. What do you say? And now I'm pretty sure it's 1,200 for ADUs. I've been trying to figure out how to do this mud and not bring it into my car, and I finally figured it out. I figured out, bring your boots and bring a plastic bag to put your shoes and your boots in. Yeah, back in the truck. I got to start driving my truck again. Okay, so we got about a 600 square foot ADU chimney and nice big 2x12 fascia, which I like that. The job you guys did for me, she wanted no fascia. So we had to take off the 5.5 inch fascia and rip it down to virtually 3.5, and then the metal will cover that. So no fascia. Yeah, she wants to see, and then the gutter will cover that. Yeah, well, it's a metal roof. It'll wrap over and flash over it, and then the gutter will hang onto that. So you won't even see the fascia. And 6x6 select exposed post. Looks like you got one post to go there.
Yeah, we still want more posts there, and actually brackets. We got structural connections to the corners, and then we add exposed one of those ornamental
Like a T bracket.
Yeah.
So you still have some hardware to put up here,
Yes.
up on top, some column caps or whatever you're gonna put.
Yes, the architect, he wanna see a T bracket, one of those exposed black brackets.
Right,
into
right.
Exposed, and then to the second over there.
Okay,
And over here in the corner, we already have a structural, connection.
so is it a pin down through?
It is, yeah, they look like a pipe, like each and a quarter pipe with
Really?
pins to the beam and post.
Okay, so down through the beam, down into the end of the post,
Yes.
you've already got a connection, but it's clean looking cuts and joint there, good job. And now it gets a T bracket, ornamental, which is actually structural as well. I mean, it's not non-structural. That's a nice lead-in. Now, is there anything gonna happen on the end of that outrigger, or is that
Yeah.
king post gonna be proud?
No, as you can see, the fascia is still missing here.
Oh, yeah,
So the fascia is coming out.
Oh, okay.
So it's gonna be flush to the king post right here.
Okay, so the fascia will flush out the king post. I'm gonna zoom that. It's good, nice little detail. I think I'm seeing it. I swear I can't see it. Darn thing. Okay, there it is. So you see that, class? And I'll zoom out. So this, we'll get a continuation of this 2x fascia. You can see the miter. That's gonna be an interesting cut because you're not gonna be that long, right? It's gonna be an interesting cut.
Yeah, actually, because of because of the slope of the roof, the top cut of the fascia,
Yeah.
I think will be the same situation where you got.
Yeah, okay, you're right. It's gonna look exactly like that. That's what's gonna happen, okay. Sometimes it's hard to visualize, but that piece of fascia will come in, and that piece of fascia will come in, and they'll miter together right there above that king post, and they'll all flush out. This is a nice detail. This is where you guys get to show off your good framing skills. Now all this stuff, all this hardware, all these hangers, which are interesting hangers because you got that one hanger up there with a stirrup, and these guys have none, or they let in. Can't see.
Oh, the ones on the.
Yeah, they're let in. Yeah, these hangers that hang your rafters off your ridge beam here. Yeah, are those bottoms let in or are they cut out? Okay, see, this one's got a bottom.
Yeah, right here.
See that one?
That one there.
Yeah, that one's different than everyone else.
Yeah, it looked like the guy didn't cut that one, so that they did expose, but these ones are
They're
not
cut.
into the router.
Okay.
Correct.
And was that on the plans like that?
Actually, no. But
Because
basically, if you take a look on the inside, we will see the same thing, with
Okay.
exposed hangers,
Yeah.
they got slope on the bottom.
yeah, which is a lot nicer look if you're gonna have exposed hangers than that.
Correct.
So what I was saying by that is that's right there is an exposed hanger. Right?
Well, actually, they're not gonna be exposed, because the finish.
Oh, this gets TNG or something?
This is TNG and
And so that's also a good reason to cut that off because it messes with the TNG, so.
correct.
Okay, pardon me, we're gonna have about 30 seconds of really bad video. So they'll have to get up there with a fine tool or something and cut that off, right?
Probably yes, or you just do a little bit of work on the piece of TNG that it goes there against the hanger, and everything will look
What it is. There we go. I'm sorry about that. I had zoomed this way beyond Zoom. And not to be confused with the Zoom that we're having this class on. So I know I'm kind of lingering here, but it's such nicely done framing. Now, all the stuff you see is DF number 1, select exposed FOHC, which means free of hard center.
Right.
And that's about as high or as good a grade as you can get in construction grade lumber.
Yes.
From there, you get into clears and STKs and stuff like that. But that's the grade that these guys called out, and they got some nice looking stock because it's going to show. So it should be nice looking.
Yes.
It's been wrapped. So, okay. Anything to see around the outside? Should we go in? You tell me.
Well, if you want to take a look at that other porch.
Yeah, let's take a look at the porches. Because this framing is meant to show. And generally, my main complaint with framers, has been in the past is that, you know, for the most part, their stuff is covered up, so they don't really care what it looks like, you know, which can affect things. So, but I do care, and it kind of looks like Hilario and Roberto are from the Gordon Piano School of Writing.
Actually, yes, we got a good teachers, not all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because those guys know their stuff. Now that's an interesting detail right there. These little outriggers. What the heck am I seeing here? Is that just a block, or are those cut out rafters? Are those cut rafters?
Those are cut out of.
Wow. So they started life as a 2x12, and then you guys cut them, right? Are they cut, or are those little blocks put in?
I think there's some there. I think these ones are cut. Let me just make sure. Yeah. We on the original plans we had that 2x12s, but we realized with the finish they're gonna get, we have to repeat what this one's down. So we went back to the engineer, and he was okay with it. He gave us the detail. We ripped them down, so we can put the TNG and keep the cinder wheel from the Tetra.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so those aren't added blocks. Those are all 2x12s cut like that, and then it's a cool detail. And it's not the thing about these details, these framing details that we're looking at. What is this, about 6 and 12?
It's 4 and 3/8.
Huh. Okay, I missed that one by a country mile. But is that, you know, generally these details, not many people look at them. They're up. But now we get a chance to look at these details, and like that detail's going to be there forever, and it looks good.
Yeah, all this, what you can see, the routers, all that's gonna be covered with
Yeah,
TNG.
yeah.
So you're not gonna look at it.
No, and then this will get a fascia across it, across the bottom.
This here, yeah.
Little-
Yeah, because we got a
Hey.
TNG on the bottom of here, we probably have a piece of finish.
It'll come right in there and drop down.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah, for the miter run. So this is you're getting into finish work here, getting into finish work in the framing, which I really love, actually. And here's the, God, it's such a nice little piece of property, such a perfect little spot for an ADU. I mean, could you ask for better? You put a swimming pool down there.
You know, it's spectacular, but the owner, I think he plans to come over and live on this ADU. And I don't know what he's gonna do with the house there.
Huh.
But he's right next door. The owner.
Which makes all the sense in the world, you know? We have these big houses, you raise kids, families go away, then it's like a man and a woman live in these giant houses. I have the same thing with my wife. It's like, we rent our house a lot. We have a little cottage in the back. So let's go see the inside of this place. Let's jump. Yeah, sorry for that jump camera. Actually, you probably felt it, didn't you? All right, so we're gonna go in.
Start, they was pushing a little water out of here. All the water we got yesterday.
Yeah, you got a little bit in, so you're dried in, but not completely.
Right.
So now, is this the TNG, it's 2 by TNG?
It's a 2-way system.
Okay, so it's not a 1 by TNG, so that's a TNG, that TNG is going up there. It's gonna skin those rafters and the ones we just left, that patio. Nice that it's 2 by 2, and we won't get any cupping or any of that BS either, right?
Right.
So you guys, did you frame this whole thing with a generator?
Yes.
So you didn't, so your other option would be to pull power from the main house?
I think they got a line here, but it start popping out, so when we need the generator, we just turn it off.
Yeah, that's good, because how far do you think it was? 300 feet, 200 feet,
It's about
400 feet?
250, 300
Yeah.
feet away.
That's a lot of voltage drop.
Yeah, for
So-
a couple skills,
Yeah, so really, you'd need like a number 8 or number 6 wire to a spider box, and then you'd be okay. But anything less than that, like a 10, even a 10,
correct, yeah.
at 250 feet, you have so much voltage drop, you can't do it. So, nice big 9,000 watt generator. You can run more than a skill set on that. That would run my RVs, both air conditioners and everything else, and I could have my microwave on. Dude, I want that.
That's a good one, yes.
That's a nice one. And are you afraid of having this stuff here because of the know, we've got all these damn thieves around here.
You know, no, because.
Cause you're tucked back
it's
so
like a
far.
private, it's a private
Yeah.
driveway.
Yeah.
And the owner just parks his cars right in front of it,
Yeah.
so they probably have cameras.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. This place feels secure. So, these feel like awfully massive headers. So this is all per plan. And there's those outriggers or those, actually not so much outriggers, but those beams that were carried on the post that we looked on the porch when we first came up, there's how they come into the wall and they sit as the post they sit on, right? Sit on a 4x6 post with a column cap.
Right.
So all of these Simpson hangers, that column cap right there, that column cap, that's a Simpson hanger. All that stuff is on the plan. Do we have a plan here?
Yes, well, we probably, yes, we do.
And at some point, we want to look at the plan because they're all called out, every single one of them. I mean, look at this. This 2x6 framing is the way to go. I wish we framed everything in 2x6. No wonder Roberto wanted to frame it in 2x6. And this is interesting. Is that a strong wall?
It is a problem, yeah.
Yeah. So that is Simpson strong wall. Can you get a raked strong wall like that? I guess so.
It's a WSW that you can get it. You can get those. I think you can get those as much as 12. Oh, larger, taller.
Wow. And then do you make the rake? You get them square and then you can cut the rake.
Yeah, we cut the rake on the side.
Okay, so class, we'll talk about strong walls. And I'll get, I don't think I can see this from the outside because it's wrapped already, but there is
Is the captioning still on?
there's probably a 12.
Is the captioning still on?
Cut to the rake. And I'm sure that was called out. These straps were called out.
Thank you.
And you can see the heavy duty hardware, which that has yet to be bolted. Those No, were- it's got bolted. You can see the heavy duty hardware carrying that ridge. That's a column cap that carries that ridge beam, which is probably a 6x12. And then ours are only your 2x12 hangers. Now, are they with this volume ceiling? How are they venting this volume ceiling? Are they venting the eaves?
I think they're gonna apply their rigid foam insulation.
So it's going
Dry
Icynene,
one.
Icynene, yeah, that makes sense. So if they didn't do Icynene or closed or open foam, if they didn't do a foam insulation like Icynene, then they'd have to vent at least every other bay. They'd have to vent one bay to the other, and then at the end of the run, outside through those fascia blocks, they'd have to have some kind of e-venting to vent those. So to avoid that, to avoid what happens with a superheated air or heated air inside a building and non-heated air or ambient air and temperature outside a building, which causes condensation, they use a And by the way, he did say rigid insulation, and I just took that ball and ran with it as a cell insulation, a foam insulation. So I didn't have a chance to look at the plans to see if it really is rigid. And if they did rigid up on top of the roof, I can't imagine why they would do that. But I think you'd still have to vent those rafter bays. If they cut rigid and put it in between the rafter bays, I think that would be fine. But why wouldn't they just do Icynene? I'll bet they'll do Icynene. I bet Hilario misspoke on that. I can find out later if anybody's interested. We'll sell foam and then they can do it. Don't have to vent anything and save a whole lot of time and trouble. And here are the plans. So what sheet we're on is S2, which is floor framing plans and notes. See that? Yep. And there they are. And point to where we're standing.
We're standing right here.
This is an ADU.
Right.
That's
Yeah, this is the 4x4 you were looking at. It.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the beam up to the outside.
Yeah.
to touch
There's the
roof.
EPC at the top, which is the column cap, right?
Correct.
Post cap. And there's straps on the outside,
Yes.
22-inch straps. There's the ridge above, great room volume ceiling. See that 6x6 right there? 6x6 with a column cap is right.
Actually, now it's a 4x8.
Now it's a 4x8. Okay, it changed to a 4x8. So you can go bigger, you just can't go smaller.
Right.
So you can pretty much go bigger with no problem. So was that, whose decision was that? Was that you guys? Was that the engineer?
It was decided from the beginning from the owner, then went to the architect, and then went to the structural engineer just to have a 2x4 wall instead of the double wall.
I see. So they changed from a 6x6 to do a 2x4 wall. They had to go from a 6x6 because that was a 6x wall, 2x6 wall, which ran into a 6x6 post. And then since they wanted it to be a 2x4 wall, they had to change it to a 4x6, and by narrowing it to 4, okay, or 4x8 rather, that makes sense. And that they could use the 4x4 in there, and there it is over there. Do I see it, or is that just 3 studs together? Right here, this 4x4 with an EPC column cap. Right over there.
Yeah, in the corner. Again,
Oh, is it?
we went from one size opening to a big one. We just run a big header, and because of like room, they decided to leave it as it is. So we wide the opening
Right.
so the owner can have more open space.
Right. Okay. So just another example of changes as you go that come up and are necessary. Some of them need to be re-engineered and they need to bring other people in. Some of them you can just do and they don't really make any difference other than they maybe make openings slightly wider, but they don't require any engineering. But these hangers are all shown. These roof hangers. So next one's roof framing. It's 2x12 roof rafters, and then they don't specify it, or do they specify the hangers?
Yeah, you go to that detail.
Okay, 13S4. So detail 13. Okay, so there you go. There's your 2x roof rafter, and there's your U-type hanger.
Yes.
And then there's straps, of course, across the top on the roof, which we can't see the roof right now. But here are all the details. So these are real details. Some of these are boilerplate, but these are all germane to the job. Wow. Is this insulation?
It's that concrete.
So that's concrete again up against the stem wall?
Yes, they're going with the
So it's going to be veneered.
Yeah.
Right, so that's veneer. Okay, that's the back roof hangers. Nice set of plans. Who drew these? Engineers, LU engineers, of course they're out of Pasadena. Looks like some site-built trusses here. Is that what that is?
No, it's just two-way ceiling joist to the tall ceiling from the bedroom.
But just in terms of figuring out details, you guys, if you were looking at that detail, right? That detail right there. You went, oh, wow, where is it? Well, it's 27S4. So it's 27, we need 27. All right, there's the detail. It's a section through there. Let's see. So that ridge, and that's going to be over here. Let's see that. Is this, are the ceilings, that's obviously a drop ceiling, right? Yeah. And here's a drop ceiling. Now we're getting into another volume ceiling. Oh, how cool is that? I love that. I love that. So you see the ridge above us is a gable, right? And there's the ridge for the gable, and there's the rafters up there, rafters going that way. But in here, they've created a volume ceiling and not one where there's just one run all the way up to a wall that goes all the way up. So kind of a shed roof look. They've turned the ceiling into a gabled volume ceiling, which is very cool. That's, the architect did that. And it's really nice. I really like it a lot. I love stuff like this. It's, you know, it's the thing that, because this, you can keep this ceiling volume for a lot cheaper, right? And not do this, and just run this wall all the way up, and then you'd have like a big shed volume.
Yes.
But this gable volume, it gives it the room symmetry. You know, that opening is totally centered on the gable, the volume gable that's created in here. The ceiling, so cool. And it's all ceiling registers, which is not ideal, but your choices on slab on grade, since we're not doing, you know, we used to do under slab ducting, which is a nightmare of epic proportions. We stopped doing that a while back. And, you know, now with slab on grade, we like to hang the furnaces in the attic, which that one is right up there. Ducting runs through the crawl spaces, but then you either have a high wall register or a ceiling register, which is not ideal for heat, because heat rises, but it does the job. And when I talk about ideal, and for my money, ideal is floor registers at exterior walls, centered on windows and inactive doors, and a return air in the center of the house, so all your supply air is drawn across the house to the return air. And it really is an efficient way to heat a house. God, they got a lot of cool attic space in here. For a 600 square feet, why would you need any more than this? Are you sure this is like 20 by 30? Let's take a look at the plans. I'm really curious because why would you need anything more than this? Who would? Yeah, it's just unbelievably cool. Let's see. Title page. Oh, this is the approved set too. Oh, it's already done. Let's look at the floor plan. It's probably pretty easy. It's probably. So the building itself, I'm gonna add numbers. Okay. 23.9. All right, so 20, 30, about 42 by 23.9. So times 24 equals, yeah. It's closer to just 1,000 inside, beside the terraces. And I think ADUs are limited to 1,200. I think that's what I remember. So at 1,200 square feet, which is not considered, a big place, it's huge. It feels huge, doesn't it? So
for a husband and wife.
Yeah, I mean, what more do you need? And then please tell us, what were the challenges for you on this project, this particular project?
Well, challenges, I don't think, the only challenge that I see here is, like always, is the safety of the people, quality of the job, keep the customers happy.
Right. How about the job itself? Did any present any framing challenges? Anything like what you were scratching your head going, oh, how do we do this and stuff like that?
No.
It was pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straight, simple framing.
Nothing you hadn't done before?
No.
2x6 walls, 3x plates, which were called out for these walls. Did you guys check your anchor bolts and your HDs and the locations were good? You didn't have to bore and epoxy any in?
Correct. That is correct.
Were they clean? Did you have to bend any? Did your concrete guys leave them clean?
Yeah, usually it's always, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But I think that makes us different.
Yeah. Wait, stop this for a second. What Hilario just said, if you didn't hear him, was that nobody's perfect, and that's what makes us human. That's a good quote, dude.
Yes, and like everybody, without complaining, we just come out and there's bolts, bent bolts, we just straighten them out and just keep going.
Yeah. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You're right. The way it is, but you didn't have to epoxy anything. They were in the right place.
I think there's a couple of holdouts they had to epoxy it because they were in the wrong places.
Which is pretty standard. So when the concrete is laid out, things like this is a big, it's probably an HD8 right here. When that's laid out and that stab is in the concrete, that stab being the bolt that this piece of hardware is anchored to, that's got to be in the exact place to catch that 4x6. And if it's not, it has to be bore and epoxy in and have it checked by a special inspector or something like that. So the layout for the anchor bolts, especially the HDs, is super important. Other than that, if you got a level slab, you guys, looks like you framed this wall. It's a pretty long wall too, huh?
Yep.
Framed on a nice clean slab and then raised and kicked off. I would have loved to have seen this thing being framed. You guys framed it in 3 days?
3 weeks.
Oh, 3 weeks.
I mean, yeah, all things to start to this phase of the job is we've been here 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. 3 weeks of framing, big openings, big headers, no huge challenges. You guys sheeted the roof too, I'm assuming?
Yes.
And does that ridge beam stay exposed?
It's a glue and beam. No, it won't be hitting by the ceiling.
So this is all drywall.
Yes.
This is not a TNG ceiling. So that'll all drywall, okay, drywall on the flat. These walls, drywall, all that covers, that big connection covers up there. Wow. This is really, now, huh, okay. That's cool. Now this layout, Eladio,
Yes.
16 centers, right? Boom,
Correct.
boom,
Yes.
and you got nailing here. I don't know what all this bridge nailing is about, but then you jump over. So is there some reason you deviated from 16 centers here? Something that came up and you went, oh yeah,
Yes, lights.
lighting.
Yeah, lighting. They got a center bay for the lights.
Okay,
And that makes us add or subtract one of the joists.
I see. So, which is really good to know, which is really good for the general or somebody was coordinating with the framers at this point so that when they could change the framing now or do it even before that needed to be changed based on lighting, because we've had to change a few things based on lighting and mechanical room changes and plumbers ran stuff that they shouldn't have ran and all that stuff. And we're going to go film the job that Hilario's company framed for us, which is a little less complex, a little bigger, but less complex, and certainly not as, wow, look at that up there. That's an interesting framing up there. Why block on that, why block on the bias like that? I'm just curious. That blocking that's running up at an angle, is there some reason for that?
Yes, we had a roof attached to this high wall from the top side,
Uh-huh.
and that'll give you an area.
Oh, okay.
See, that's a lower roof of that area over there.
Oh, and nailings for your roof from the outside.
We got a.
I see. So there's a roof that comes in right at that level
Yes.
on the exterior. And
Correct.
that's why those blocks, you can see those blocks are cut on the rake like that. Let's see. Is this access? No. Yeah? No. This is access.
That's
Duh.
access,
Yeah, big old king post, or, yeah, supporting that splice. Is it a splice? No, just a midspan support king's post on this ridge. And just so you know, engineering wise, when you have a volume ceiling like this, because if this were not a volume ceiling, if this had ceiling joists and a regular drop ceiling joist and not the volume, that ridge could have been a 1x. It could have been 1x. So when you have volume ceilings and no collar ties, which keep the outside walls from going out, then you need a giganto ridge. That's one of the things you need. Bigger rafters and a big ridge beam. All right. So much to know about this stuff. And why, but it sure looks clean. So you guys out of here except for pickup and then a little bit, are you doing the TNG and stuff?
Yes, we still got to do the TNG here, so, and on that side of the house that we're going to do, but we gotta wait for the landscapers to put pipes and then concrete, and then coming back.
Got it. And you guys have got, I gotta get you back to put skylights in one job too, as soon as I get skylights. Okay, let's look at the closet. I'm gonna just take one last look around here, and then I'm gonna get hung, just like we're hanging our forced air unit is also being hung, which I should be able to show you that. Here's just the vent stubs, which are not penetrated yet because the roof is just dried in. This was done before concrete. Which HVAC. Your job is clean looking, that's for sure. See the 835s, right? 835s everywhere. They're pretty much called out everywhere. You know, 835 from top plate, which is it's a double top plate, and this single top plate. What do you think about single top plates?
Well, you don't see those anymore at all.
Well, they were big because they're green, right? People, they wanted to, you know, less one lineal foot run, less one plate, and use less lumber. But personally, I can't see how do you tie intersecting walls without a double top plate, right? You can't tie them, you can't overlap on top, tying a wall. So you guys are doing double top plates. Joe has argued for single top plates. And I'll probably do them ad infinitum, but anyway, double top plate, virtually every job, this is required, not virtually, every job is required for an 835 clip, that's that hanger up on top. I'm gonna zoom on it so you can see it. Those clips, yeah, those clips right there, 835s, they're called out for every job to tie the plate to the freeze block. And the freeze block is goes in between the rafters out flush to the outside of the plate. But all this mechanical fastening that you see, those 835s, those column caps. Oh, here's another one of those beautiful volume ceilings. And this will all get isonine, right? So you can have volume sealing. But like this strap, they're all called out on the plans. And this is the kind of stuff the inspector will look for and make sure they're on there. That's them doing their job. Now, what are these guys called, Claudia? Actually, that won't need isonine. They may break it up. I suspect they'll do isonine throughout, but like I said, I didn't look at the plans, but that's not really a true volume sealing. I mean, it's a volume sealing, but it's conditioned space, and above it is crawl space, attic. So the insulation could be regular batt insulation up in the rafters above those false volumes, false ceilings that are volume. You remember? These guys here, those are those some kind of 835 as well?
Yes, 835.
Also an 835, which is a different version of it that ties the rafter to the top plate. And it looks like every other, or every three, or every so often they were called out. And that's for exterior walls, not for interior walls. Any other jazzy hardware on here? See here, this is all 835s too. Yeah. And then in typical ceiling framing, that's a typical head off right there, right? It's a doubled up joist.
It's a double joist, we're still.
Cut out and then head out. So because you see, it loses this joist right there. That used to go all the way through that opening, or would have gone all the way through that opening. And since you're going to get rid of that ceiling joist, you've got to head it off with doublers all the way around, and now it's secure. It's the way it's supposed to be framed. And this is plywood trimmers, which is fine. Why I cycle that just added a fur in the opening. There's your king stud. There's your trimmer. That's some furring. Header. These are cripples. Double top plate. Clean, man. You guys are clean. What if I come around with my level?
Well, I promise you, that'll be okay.
And is this probably getting a masonry fireplace, right?
Yeah, after they install the masonry fireplace, we're gonna come up and tour out the front of that.
Yeah, wow, this is just something else, man. Something else. So I'm gonna say sayonara, but I wanna just finish with Hilario. So anything else you want to tell my class of men and women that are interested in construction, and now they've seen an incredibly well-framed house. What do you think this is a good trade to get into? I mean, if you were doing it all over again, would you do this?
Oh, yes, that's for sure. It is a career. It's been a career for me. And if you like it, you can go all the way. I haven't seen any stuff. To me, it's a career, as the same as an engineer,
Yeah.
architect.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, it's a good career. It's a career that you can be successful in, and by what people gauge as successful, which is you make more money, and you do more and more, and you're able to employ people,
Correct.
right? And you're able to get people jobs and keep the economy going. The thing is there are no ceilings set for you here. You know, you could start out pushing a broom and then be the owner of the company with a bona fide California contractor's license and more work than you can do and more work in the horizon and bigger projects and hopefully bigger margins. And the thing of it is it's not a guarantee that you're going to get rich. You know what I mean? But if you work hard and you fair and you got your wits about you, it's been my experience that you will do well financially.
Well, definitely, yes. Definitely, I mean, it is a career, even if you don't make a lot of tons of money. I mean, your life, it's a quality life, and you can support your family. You can enjoy the work and live. You know.
And speaking of enjoying your work, it's one thing that I've been kind of harping on is that the kind of work that you do and the kind of work that I've done and the guys that work for you do is creating things that are real in the world that last and have lasting value. So they exist way beyond when you're doing them, right? You do them, they get done, and they don't just go off into the internet or ethers, or they're not just pieces of paper laying somewhere. They're real things that people go into, and you know, the walls keep the elements out, the windows let in the light, and all this stuff that you do is here for the ages, and that's really something.
It is.
That's an
It is. If you start thinking of that, I mean, it's a good house. It could be your home, your own home.
yeah.
I mean, it's a really good thing. It's a really good career. Anything, enjoying and getting paid, you're living. And like I said, it's a career.
Yeah, well, it is, and you're a great example of it, Hilario. Thank you so much for giving me your time, giving us your time to be able to see this project and then hear it from you too. So thanks again. Good luck to you and your guys and to Roberto. Thank you. Okay, we are going to take a break. We're going to take a break. Why aren't I pinned? So I'm going to stop recording, and I've got 10 after 10. Be back here. Take a 15-minute break. See you at 25 after 10. Okay? We're back to being recorded, and I'm going to go ahead and come on back, everybody. Come on back. Thank you. I'm going to pin myself. There we go. Hey, let's get right into this. We're going to do something we haven't done before, and that is I'm going to share a screen with you. The host disabled participant screen sharing. Wait, I'm a participant now? Aye. Okay, so I think, Lindsay, I'm going to need to get rid of you as host. Let's see here.
So, Lindsay, you need to give back the host.
Oh, sorry. 1 second. Okay, I think I did. Is it working?
I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, you did. Good work. Thank you. So I guess once I make you the host, I'm not the host anymore. And now it says, oh, okay. Screen sharing, I hope so. Hide the floating meeting controls. Let's go to Canvas. Okay. Here we are. Oh, actually, I got to go to my dashboard. You guys seeing the dashboard? Public courses, dashboard?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, now I have a version of the online, of our textbook online. I'm the only one that has it. Jim has access to it too. We haven't been using it, but we're going to use it more and more. It's got some really great stuff in it. I was looking at it this morning, and let's go to where I was looking. Floor framing, band joist, joist beam stress. Well, you know what? We'll just start out with one. I'm going to show you a couple. Now, I don't know if I'll be able to, or if there's a way to close caption this. I think this is going to be on you guys, but here we go.
Joist locations are normally marked on the band joist. This animation will illustrate marking a band joist for a simple joist layout. Begin the joist by marking the regular joists. In this example, regular joists are spaced at 16 inches on center. To locate the first regular joist,
we call band joists rim joists around here.
Measure 15¼ inches from the end of the band joist and draw a line. This line represents the near edge of the joist.
Can you put on the captions? I'm having a hard time hearing it.
Oh, wait, you know what? There is closed captioning here.
Thank you.
The center of the joist is 16 inches from the end of the building. Place an X next to the line on the side where the joist will be located.
Are you guys getting closed captioning?
Maybe click it one more time.
Okay,
Yeah.
English.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
There you go.
To mark the rest of the regular joists, begin measuring at the mark for the first joist and place a mark every 16 inches. After the locations of the regular joists are marked, mark any joists needed for additional floor framing requirements. In this example, 2 joists are doubled to provide additional support for partition walls. Finally, this floor frame requires a 3-foot 2-inch wide opening for a stairwell. Measure the width of the stairway and mark double joists on both sides. The regular joists located within the stairwell area will be tail joists, which are often identified by changing the X marking to a T marking. Now that the band joist is completely marked, the floor frame can be constructed.
Cool. Okay. Okay. This is pretty good too. I like this one.
Floor frames often include openings for stairwells. When framing a floor opening, begin by installing the inner trimmers. Next, install the first headers by nailing through the trimmers. Install the tail joists by nailing through the first headers and the band joists. Install the second headers by nailing to both the trimmers and the first headers. Finally, install the second trimmers by nailing to both the inner trimmers and band joists.
Well, I like that a lot, actually. Okay. Joist beam stress, posts and girder. Let's look at joist beam stress. These are all pretty quick.
It is useful to know how stress affects floor joists. This knowledge will help you determine where to make holes and cut notches. When a load or force pushes down on a joist, the top of the joist is in compression and the bottom is in tension. There is a point at which the stresses change from one to the other. This neutral point is where there is neither tension nor compression. In the usual rectangular joist, this point is assumed to be midway between the top and bottom. Since there is no compression or tension at the center, a hole has little effect on the joist's strength, provided the hole is not larger than 1/3 of the total depth of the joist.
That's a good thing to know. That's a very good thing to know. Let me just do, okay, this will be a good one, I bet
Girders, sometimes called beams, are needed to support very long joists. Girders often rest on the foundation walls and on posts or columns. Girders include solid timbers, built-up lumber, laminated beams, or steel beams. Modern engineered lumber, such as glue laminated beams, may be used for girders. Laminated beams are factory-made by gluing pieces of wood or veneer together. An extremely straight, strong girder results. Steel posts are most popular for girder support. The post should be capped with a steel plate to provide a good load-bearing surface area. A crane is normally used to set heavy steel girders. Use extreme caution when placing steel girders. Do not remove the crane cable or strap until after the beam is properly bolted to its posts and braced. As soon as a girder is set, secure it to the side of the foundation so that it cannot fall. Always make sure there is enough bracing to keep the heavy girder from falling. Drill holes in the wood bracing and in the bottom of the I-beam. Then bolt the bracing over the sill studs in the foundation wall and to the bottom of the I-beam. This will secure the I-beam while installing floor joists. Metal shims are often needed to bring the girder up to the correct elevation. When plumbing a post, check it on 2 sides. Then tap on the post until it is perfectly plumb and your levels bubble is centered on both sides of the post. Then tighten its bolts.
Yeah, I missed something there, like the attachment. I'm recording, right? You guys remember I'm recording?
Yeah, you're recording.
All right, good, thank you. Oh, I went right. What did I do? What did I, oh. Posts and girders, oh, okay. That's fine.
Sill plates are often made of 2x6 lumber. The sill is secured to the foundation wall by anchor bolts or metal straps. With a strap-type sill anchor, position the sill and attach the straps with nails.
We don't use those around here. I haven't seen those used anywhere around here. Maybe somebody does, but nobody I know does.
Some straps must be bent over the top of the sill, others are nailed on the sides. When anchor bolts are used, lay the sill board along the foundation wall. Use your square to mark the sill on each side of the anchor bolts. Use a tape measure to establish how far in the holes should be from your chalk line. After being marked, use a drill to bore the holes for the anchor bolts. Most carpenters prefer to bore the holes about a 1/4 inch larger than the diameter of the bolts to ensure the sill fits over the anchor bolts easily. A foam rubber sill sealer is often placed on top of the foundation wall. The sill sealer helps stop the passage of air under the sill. Force the foam material down over the anchor bolts and onto the foundation. Position the sill sections over the bolts. Install the anchor washers and nuts. As the nuts are tightened, double check that the sills are properly aligned. Install the rim joists. Measure and cut them to length. Then, toenail the rim joist to the sill plate and nail the ends of the rim joist together.
Mark the location of the floor joists on the rim joists using a square. Draw an X to indicate the position of each joist. Add the position for any double joists and trimmer joists that will be required along openings. Where regular joists will become tail joists, change the X to a T. Sight down dimension lumber for the floor joists to find the crown. The crown is the edge of the lumber that curves up in the middle. Install dimension lumber with a crown up. This will prevent the floor from sagging from its load. To aid in lifting or positioning long joists on the sill and girder, slide them along the top of another joist. Make sure no one is working below you. Lay each one down flat next to the joist layout marks. Two carpenters normally work together on each end to install floor joists efficiently. Swing the joist upright. Then hold the joist end tightly against the rim joist and along the layout lines so the sides will be plumb. Nail the top of the joist to the rim joist. Then align and nail the bottom before nailing in the center. Align the other end of the floor joist with your layout lines and toenail it to the sill. Repeat this procedure on other floor joists.
Wait.
Installing the subfloor is the final step in completing the floor frame. Plywood, particle board, strand board with either tongue and groove or straight cut edges are used today. To prevent moisture damage, never leave subfloor material in direct contact with the ground. Place the sheets on boards to raise them up off the soil. At night or in bad weather, cover subflooring with plastic to protect the building material from rain, snow, and theft. Make sure the tops of the joists are perfectly clean before applying adhesive. Sweep sawdust and debris off of the joists before applying the glue. The long dimension of the subfloor sheet should run perpendicular to the joists. Ends of the subflooring should be staggered in successive courses so they do not line up. Most contractors now use both an adhesive and nails or screws to secure the subfloor panels to the joists. Use a high-quality construction adhesive recommended for subfloor panels. Apply a generous bead of adhesive down the center of each joist to blocking and all framing members that come in contact with a subflooring. If you fail to make a continuous bead of adhesive, the floor panels can flex up and down, with resulting squeaking and popping when walked on. Only apply enough adhesive to install 1 or 2 panels at a time. The glue must not set up before panel installation. In warm weather, the glue will dry quickly. Use a 2x4 and a sledgehammer to drive the sheets together. Drive on the grooved end and not the tongue. The tongue is easy to damage.
Instructions. Inner joist, where? Oh, I see. Okay. Header joist. Well, that's, all right, let's say it's that one. Temporary brace. Where's the temporary brace? Okay. Stud. Anchored sill plate. Windowsill. Corner bracing. Oh wait, that's a temporary brace. There's corner bracing. There's foundation wall. There's window header. Plywood subfloor. Where's the plywood subfloor? I don't see the plywood subfloor. Sole plates down here. I'm tired of this. Top plates here. Stringer joist. I think that's, I don't know if that's right or not. And I can't see plywood subfloor anywhere. Anybody see it? Anyway, let's just see how we did. Okay. Again, okay, I'm done with this for now. All right. We're gonna go back. You guys can do this in your book and get it right. I can't see those arrows all that well. So that was platform framing. Here's floor framing. Okay, similar thing. So this is a little easier. What do we got? We got a band joist, which we call what? Somebody tell me, what do we call a band joist?
Rim joist.
Rim joist.
Thank you, thank you. Here's our sill. Wait, that's not a band joist. The band joist is here. There's the sill. There's the sill sealer. There's the joist. There's a sole plate. There's a stud. There's the subfloor. Okay, we did that one right. Good. Now this is interesting. Okay. Okay, so if you've been reading your book, I don't know if you have or not, but all this stuff is in the book, and let's see how we do here. So this is a wide flange I-beam or structural beam. This is a standard steel beam. This is an angled beam. This is a structural tube. This is a channel. And this is obviously a T. Boy, how did I know that? Hey, all right. Hope you guys do as well, guys and gals. Do as well. Okay. Floor framing, structural steel shapes, floor framing members. Okay. So this is a tail joist. This is a header or band joist. This is a regular joist. This is a double trimmer. Where the heck is that? There's a double trimmer and here's a double header. Double header. Whoa. And it's not baseball. Okay, good. Good deal. And platform floor framing members. Wow, that was it. Huh, cool. Here's some review questions for us. Of course, we didn't go through the chapter, but let's just talk about this for a second. The type of framing used in most residential construction is, somebody want to tell me? It's platform framing. As opposed to balloon framing. We don't do balloon framing for 2 stories anymore, which is let in Second story, bands to hang joists off of that are nailed to studs. But generally we do balloon framing and gabled ends. It's, platform framing is building one level and then one story and then stacking another story, then joisting and then stacking another story on top of that, which is fine. That's how we frame and in 1 and 2 story. But in gable ends, which go up, higher than the 8-foot top plate, rather than frame the walls all platform and then frame a gabled end platform style and stack it on top of that, which creates kind of a hinge point, not kind of a hinge point for the 2 walls. We balloon frame, so long studs for the gable. It's the way to go. The studs of a balloon frame run continuously from the sole plate. And then blank may be solid timbers, built up lumber, engineered lumber, or steel beam. Let's say that's girders. The sill may be blank with the outside of the foundation or may be set back, so it may be flush with the foundation. In residential construction, the definition of first floor joists under normal live load should not exceed, I don't know that one. I'd have to go look and find it.
1/360th.
Oh yes, of course it is. Of course it is. And is that you, Catherine?
Yes, Rodney.
Hey, good job. I was just actually reading that. So they say, and that's also, the deflection. So a 15-foot span at 1/360th of deflection is a 1/2 inch of deflection. It's pretty cool, really. And you just take 15 times 12, divide it by 360, and you get 0.5, which is a 1/2 inch of deflection. So thanks. I should have remembered that, but thank you. Joists must be around openings in the floors for stairways. Joists must be headed off.
Doubled.
Yeah, doubled. Good one. Good one. So spelling double is not good. Doubled. A member of the floor frame that runs from the band joist, rim joist, to a header of an opening is called a what? Tail joist. Okay, true or false? Let's see, this is 8. Okay. Regular bridging is designed to keep joists in a vertical position and transfer the load. That's absolutely true. So we don't bridge much around here anymore. And if we do, we use metal bridging, and you'll have to look at that in your book if we could get to it if anybody's really interested. But that's absolutely true for bridging. Bridging, when you bridge between joists, it's a member that runs on an angle from top of one joist to the bottom of the other, and what it does is it does what I said it did, which is, the heck is it? Oh, it keeps joists vertical, and it transfers the load from one joist to the next. Okay, so this one, steel bridging is installed with nails and a nail gun. I don't know. I think that's false. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
It said a hammer.
There you go. So that would be false. For cantilevered floor framing, if the run of joist is parallel to the supporting wall, extend the joist inwards 2 or 3 times the length of the opening. Wait, if the run of joist is parallel to the supporting wall, extend the cantilever joists. Yeah, so the rule of thumb is 2 times. So I don't know if any of you could see me, but if your cantilever is 2 feet, in other words, if the joists run past the sill plate and cantilever outside the building or outside a supporting wall, say 2 feet, then you need to go back over that wall 2 times that. So 4 foot back and attach your joist, or 6 foot back, but minimum 4 foot back. Minimum 2 times the cantilever minimum. That's the rule of thumb. Most die joists have perforated webs, I guess, perforated holes.
Knockout hole.
There you go. Knock, knock, knock. Who knows a good knock, knock joke? Most trusses are fabricated with wooden blanks connected by galvanized steel with wooden, I'm going to say members and connected by galvanized steel brackets. They're actually gang nail brackets. I don't know what they're looking for. IRC states that anchor bolts may be placed in less than 7 inches of concrete. That's false. It can go in 4 inches of concrete. I'm not going to explain any of that. I'm actually done with this. It's just too much work. So I'm going to back up. Yeah, good. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get out of this book for now. Going to go back to our course. I'm going to get up a logo here. I just haven't taken the time to do it. Something that reflects what we're doing. And let's go to modules and okay, where are we? Okay, we're going to go to manual and framing. All right, so we're going to watch 2 videos and then we'll have a discussion and then I'm going to call it. Okay, hello again. This is Rodney Utt at. I'm sorry about the finger. It's not here for very long. It'll get out really soon. I noticed it. I think soon enough. A 966 Chelm, which is a job I've got underway. Just left. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to get closed captioning on here. Where is it? Huh. I'm not getting the you guys, Katie and Linda and Lindsay, I'm not getting the thing that says closed captioning. Why is that? No. Huh.
Could that have been a function when we switched who was host?
No, some YouTube videos don't allow for captioning.
Oh, that's it.
That one.
Some don't?
Yes, they're not all captioned, correct.
That's weird because the one, I mean, I downloaded these all yesterday and the one that you guys, that we watched before was closed caption, but this is not letting it. So sorry about that. Can we proceed?
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I just have a really hard time hearing these, but I'll do the best I can.
Are you having a hard time hearing me or hearing the video?
The videos are very sketchy.
Sorry. I'll try better as I make more. Cedar job in Hot Springs. It was an unbelievable ADU with big vaulted ceilings and really nice clean framing and all kinds of clean details. And now we're over at my job, which is really a mess. It's a mess with the rain and it hasn't been cleaned up this week. It's going to get cleaned up later today, before the end of the day. But I just want to show you some framing details. There's a bunch of blocking. Now, I don't, as far as I know, I don't think blocking is required. It's nice to do it at 4 feet. You have to block a wall that's 10 feet, or maybe over 8 feet, but the 10 feet walls have to be fire blocked. But I think these guys block walls. And I think that the code is you have to block 1 bay over from each corner, but these guys go ahead and block all the way, which I'm pretty, oh no, I take it back. That's a shear wall. That's why that's blocked like that. So they have nailing. They have to have the edge nailing on the shear wall. And up here you can see the 835s, which have to be, like I said before in the last video, top plate to freeze block pretty much everywhere where a roof lands on a wall, on an exterior wall. And you can see some of that white tubing is that's Romex. That's Romex. Okay, that's just Romex. And then this is tubing right here. That's for the water line that feeds the refrigerator, chilled water, and ice maker. This job is wrapped right now. Lath is not finished, just basically dried in with a Tyvek house wrap and Kind of mixed up a wrap. This is the garage door opening, which is
Okay.
giving me
Stupid
fits.
finger out of there.
Continues to do so. That's another story. Let's go in and take a look at that framing because Jim asked me to deal with framing. I think pretty sure that's what he said. So I've got new and old framing in here. You can see the new framing is pretty obvious. That wall's actually been furred, needed to be furred out. This is a shear wall, which I showed you the outside of, and that's why we have that blocking. This wall is blocked because it's over 10 feet to the plate. It's what we call balloon framed, which is what gable end walls should be, and not western frame because it creates a hinge on the gable end wall, and I will explain that. But right now, suffice to say, this wall is now framed right. Nailing plates over wherever the drywall guys could hit something. We got insulated water pipes. We have nailing plates over them. Insulated hot water. I got gas coming from the utility room, which is will be our new gas stub. Coming to the new laundry location. Fireplace framing. Let's see if I can get some better light. What am I doing on battery here? I better check that. I'm trying to keep my finger out of the lens too. I know you guys hate that. I know I hate that. Okay, I got 61 minutes of battery. I'm gonna do it. All right, another shear wall. You can tell by the nailing. This was the extension. This job was side built trusses. This was an exterior wall where I'm standing right here, and we pushed it out. I forget how many feet. Looks like about 12 feet. The living room with a new shed roof that California's onto this existing roof, and asked me about a California roof, and I'll tell you about it. All these rafters are hung with a U-26 hanger, and or maybe these are 2x8s. Yeah, these are 2x8s. U-28 hanger with the bottom cut off because they thought it was going to get sheeted all the way up to there, but they could have left the bottoms on those hangers. Because this is all getting TNG, but that's all getting softened. So everything you see here running on this beam, this parallel beam, this LVL, which this existing site-built trusses were shored with a shoring wall, like right along here. And then the exterior wall is removed, and this beam was put into place after the footings were poured. Of course, there's a footing under there, and there's a footing underneath this post here. You can see, yeah, it was all undercut. It was undercut beneath the existing slab and then formed in the new footing, pretty good size pad footing to support the post. You can see the strap right there. It straps the beam and it bends down and it's strapped to the post underneath the shear. Then this beam, I'm going to fur out. So this gets isoning because it's a volume sealing, and I don't want to have to vent these rafter bays, so I am going to isoning it with foam, and then on TNG, it's going to get paneled with TNG the ceiling, and then all of this Smurf tube, duct work. Let's see, I've got gas running there, a bunch of data. I guess all my Romex and stuff is run through board and run through the rafters. But all this stuff is going to get, this is going to become a chase. So I'm going to box this in, probably with drywall maybe, or maybe with this same stuff that we're going to TNG with, and make a big box here that covers all that stuff. I can draw that for any of you that are confused. Now, while I'm in this room, I want to tell you that our living room right here is going to stay like this. In other words, these site-built trusses are going to show. Now we're going to clean them up a little bit. These plywood gussets, we got some denailing to do, and we're going to take a wire brush to them. They all paint out. So drywall will go all the way up this gable end wall, all the way up to the ceiling. The ceiling gets no drywall. It gets exactly what you see there, only painted. And that's the 1x6 sheeting that was installed for the original Shingle roof. That's all you need is the spacing on that sheeting, because the shingles just, they only need that one piece of nailing. So when we stripped the roof, we left the 1x6 on, and then we dropped 1x4s in, just so you, so let's see, we could have left them out and then sheeted on top of that, and you'd just seen a recess between each one and seen the plywood. And this way you're going to see wood all the way along, and it'll all get painted. So if you try to envision this painted, it's going to be a volume ceiling with these trusses showing. The owner had seen it somewhere and really liked it, so she's doing it here. And you can see some of the strapping. We got some really big straps. It's called out on our plan. And they all have to be put in. Our inspectors are very careful, and they found a couple of areas where the strapping was off, and a couple of things that need to be fixed. We were called on, and we got them fixed. Well, we've got this wall in for revision because we had to reframe it because it was so flimsy and so out of plumb, and the owner wanted to change the 2 windows from the plan to 3 windows. So now we've got to get a revision, and but we can keep going, and we are keeping going. Of course, I've been told to do that at my own risk, and I'm willing to take the risk. Okay, so let's look at some other framing in here. Yeah, this is pretty trippy, huh? So no drywall. I think we'll probably take the bottom of this Paralam that we're going to box and chase, and I think we'll probably bring it in cover, bring it out to and finish it, maybe a little bit of let in relieve for the bottom of the TNG, and just stop the solid TNG on that box, so we can cover all those hangers too. Yeah, that'll be the finished work part, but you got to anticipate the finish when you do the framing, because everything affects everything else. Remember, everything affects everything else. I mean everything. We don't need drywall nailing here because we don't have a ceiling. Normally, I need a pointer. I usually have a laser pointer. Okay, so no, wait, here's a great pointer here. It was made to be a pointer. What's in my pocket? My phone? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry for dithering. I feel like the absent-minded professor right now. All right, I'm going to put my phone in my belt clip. I know none of you needed to know this, but you're with me. Okay, so if this were a regular ceiling, right, it was going to get drywall across these joists, then you'd need to put a 2x here for nailing to catch the drywall ceiling. Same thing here. If this drywall were going to be on these ceiling joists and then come across as a ceiling, you'd need to get a nailer, obviously, on this wall to catch the drywall. But since this is volume and these are staying open, we don't need to do that. Pretty interesting piece of framing here. This is the kitchen, by the way. And when we get into that, I hope to be able to show you some the kitchen plans, since I designed it based on what the owner wanted. And while I know we were going to be doing plumbing too, but you can see that vents, that vent's dirty armed. These vents are all tied in to one vent. So we've got to clean out on the outside of that one. That vent comes over, ties into the laundry vent. That's the laundry. That's the laundry drain. That's also right here. That is water softener and let's see. What else is? So the water softener's got condensate. Is it the air conditioner condensate? I'm not sure, but these are condensate lines that have to be plumbed. In this case, pumped and then plumbed to sanitary waste, and they're going to plumb. They're plumbed to the washer waste. Fireplace framing was as advertised. It looks like the fireplace went in pretty darn easy. We got to get the chimney stucco before I can do the roof. So let's go look at some of this other framing. This was a remodel, this part. So this was an existing wall. It got reframed brand new. I'm not sure why. I think something happened in this bedroom. This is some of the existing framing. You can see existing framing in the bathroom, probably have pretty bad light in here. The ceiling was a major pain to frame because it has all these openings, has a skylight opening, has a return air opening right there, and has access opening right there. Yeah, come on in. You know that's return air, right? Yes, of course you do. Okay, let's just go into this room. This wall got this existing framing got reframed, got an opening. A slider was pulled out. We put a window in. You can see the couple studs above. Existing plates, new rough sill, a double sill. Existing framing. See, this is going to be covered. This will be a drop ceiling. So this gets a drop ceiling, hard drop ceiling. So this all gets drywall on the ceiling. This gets drywall on the ceiling. Okay. Let's come on down to a new part of the framing. So this is all new framing. New framing. Yeah. New framing. New headers. New skylight well framing. Pretty cool. The way that's headed off, the way they frame this based on the skylight, drywall ceiling. See our ductwork is going in right now. These fans, this ceiling fan will tie into the other bathroom ceiling fan, and then they'll exit high wall with like a dryer vent on this eastern wall, rather than a roof penetration. I like to limit the roof penetrations as I can. You see plumbing in here, and we'll go over plumbing, I guess, in another episode when Jim gets the plumbing, which I think is coming right up. So let's walk into the master bedroom. It's got framed in 2x6 instead of 2x4. We changed the framer's bid. We asked them to upgrade to 2x6 because, as it turned out, with the grades the way they were, we did a 2x4 stem wall here and with the 2x6 framing. This is volume ceiling too, just per plan. The ceiling joists are going to stay the way they are. The rafters, up between the rafter spaces, will get isoning because it's a volume ceiling, and if we put in bad insulation, we'd have to vent each bay out the eaves, and it's a pain. It's inviting moisture and other things. So by doing foam, we can go ahead and cover it. We don't
Sorry
have to
about the
we're gonna
finger.
cover it with TNG. Again, this is going to skin with a 1x6 TNG. So just the bottom of that ridge will expose, and all these ceiling joists will be exposed. There's an A35 everywhere. It's on the outside there. It's funny, this was put up there for nailing. I need to get that out of there. That's all that is a nailer. And I need that to go away because this drywall is going to go all the way up. Now this is a balloon frame wall and blocked. So the framing goes all the way up and it's blocked in between because it's over 10 feet. Has to have fire blocking. But this nailer's got to go, and I suspect, and see, they did not put a nailer over here, which is weird. Or if they did, it got pulled out. So, and these guys are here at my behest to catch the 1x6, right? 1x6 in here. Then it can start going long across the rafters, but in the short space is going to be, it's going to die at the rafters, and then it's going to be able to go long all the way up. Follow that? This guy's going to do a good job for nailing, but I got to get this on my list and get this file. So somebody remind me, say, hey, Rodney, did you get that on your list? Okay. And I've got a head off, another couple studs to get a vent, supply air vent. So when you see SA on a plan, means supply air. That's SA, supply air. When you see RA on the plan, that means return air. And that's what this is about. And it's going to get a return air grill, and it'll penetrate right there, and it'll go to the FAU unit. And I think I'm pretty much done. So, hey, Rodney, the Mangone job, just showing you a little bit of framing. And I'm going to be saying bye and signing off. That was longer. Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to stop the share. Stop the share. I'm going to gallery view. Somehow I'm going to get this view right for myself.
Hey, Rodney, can
Yes.
I ask a question about the wiring again? So I saw
Just
blue
hold
wire.
on one second,
Okay.
because yes, you can. I'm going to call for questions and you'll be first up, but I want to get my screen right. So give me a minute here to figure out what do I got to do. What do I got to do? Okay, let's pin me. View, gallery view. Okay, okay, Catherine. Oh, by the way, any questions, Catherine?
Thanks, Rodney. Hey, I just wondered if you could clarify. I saw blue wiring, white wiring, yellow wiring, orange tubing and black tubing. I wrote down what I thought they were, but could you confirm them for me? Thank you.
Good idea. Good idea. Now, somebody can chime in because I don't know the difference between the white and the yellow Romex. Is anybody? John, do you happen to know?
Yeah, so the white is 14 gauge Romex and the yellow is 12 gauge.
Oh, that's good. All right, so the white and the yellow that you mostly saw is Romex. And Romex are the wires that carry the 110 volts. They'll also carry the 240 because we do have some 240 stubs for a couple of things. But Romex is sheathed electrical cable. And it's flat. It's like that with the wires in it. Has ground in it, neutral and hot. And did you say white was 12 and yellow was 14, or the opposite?
Opposite.
Okay, so yellow equals 12 gauge wire, and white equals 14 gauge wire. Now gauges, the higher the number, the smaller the gauge, the lower the number, the bigger the gauge. So your lamp cords are 16. That's probably as low as you go. Low voltage, you can get into 18 gauge and even 20 gauge, but your electrical cords that don't take much juice at all are going to be like lamp cords, 16 gauge. Your standard 14 gauge is most of your wire that's in your walls. It fires up your duplex outlets and your lights. It's the same gauge for your most extension cords you buy are this lower gauge, 14 gauge, and some extension cords are 16 gauge. And then the 12 gauge is a little thicker wire, and that would be for dedicated circuits for microwaves and stoves and things like that that require dedicated circuit or maybe 20 amps and up. I'm not sure exactly what the ratings are amperage wise for the gauge, and we'll get into that in the electrical part. But just to let you know that 10 gauge, 8 gauge, and 6 gauge are also used, and they're used usually to bring power and to power up things that require a lot more power. Catherine, the blue equals Data. All that blue cabling is data. That's pretty bad. That's as bad as it gets. Okay, so data. That's the blue, right? So that would take your Cox cable stuff, anything that had to do with data and internet connections and streaming and all that. The black that you saw, there'd be two kinds of black. You'd see black iron. God, this is just horrible. So the black that you saw, there isn't one of these that works. I don't know why. I guess it's time to pop for some new ones. Is it the whiteboard? I wonder. Okay, the black is black iron pipe, gas pipe. Black iron, gas pipe. That's one of the blacks, and that was one. There was one piece of black iron gas pipe that was strapped to that glulam beam, that Pyrolam beam. But I think most of the black you saw, Catherine, was in that kitchen 2x6 balloon framed wall, and that was black. That was copper. Copper H2O pipe, insulated. So there might have been any cold water lines aren't insulated. So if you've seen some copper running up there, you might have seen a copper pipe, but then those three big black pipes are actually copper pipes with slit and foam, black foam insulation slipped over them in the joist base. So they're, you know, when they're passing through the stud, they're not insulated. That insulation is you know, it's fat foam with a 3/4 1 inch hole, and it's slit. So it spreads open and just goes over the pipe, and you cut it, they cut it right to the joist base. So all the water pipe, all the hot water pipe is insulated. So the blue, the yellow, okay, and then I showed you that white. There was only kind of one white clear on that outside wall. That first thing I showed you on that Mangon wall when we first walked up, and that's water. That's for water going from the sink area through the wall all the way around the corner to the refrigerator to feed the ice maker and if it has door water, but I don't think it does. But we have a water stove there, and that was an interesting thing because you know, as we get into it, the place is framed, and then all the utilities have to be stubbed out, most of them in the wall, so they're not shown. And we'll get into that at a later date for sure. But did I answer your question, Catherine? Kat?
Yes, Rodney, thanks very much. That really helped.
Okay, good. Anybody else?
One more question.
Fire
So
away.
Romex is a non-metal sheathing?
Well, yeah, that Romex is a sheathed cable, and
A sheath cable.
and the inside the cable each copper wire is insulated, and then it's got a sheath. It's got a plastic sheath around it that hold the wires, and it's kind of shaped like, well, I know you've seen Romex.
No, I have. Thank you. Thank you. That answers my question. Thanks very much, Rodney.
Good. And now questions. Come on, let's have some questions, please.
Hi, Rodney. You said to ask you about the California roof.
Ah, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And who was that reminded me?
Brenda.
Brenda, brownie points for Brenda.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can see this. I'm just so bummed about these darn remarkable markers. They're just horrible. I don't know if they're just all dried out. Just sprayed my hand with this stuff. I hope that's okay. All right. So we have a couple of California conditions there, and I'm going to show you the easiest one. And the easiest one is, let's say you're remodeling. God, I don't know what to do. I gotta find one somewhere that works. All right. You're remodeling. California roof, you really, it pretty much happens in remodels. So this is a roof that's existing, gable roof, and you're gonna, and which we had on that main living room with looking at a cross section. You know, we have all these site-built trusses. I didn't draw the pitch enough, but we have all these site-built trusses, rafters, and then we've got jacks, gussets, stuff like that. That's a cross section looking west to east or east to west of that Mangone project with all those. We were standing there, pretty much was filming this way. And then when we added on to that living room, what we did is we took out this wall. We first went in here and shored up. We built a shoring wall, a temporary wall, which is pretty much press fit, not necessarily fastened, maybe nailed to the rafters, so that we could eliminate this wall, this exterior bearing wall that bears these rafters, these site-built trusses, the whole thing. We took it out, right? We could do that because we built another wall to support it temporarily. And then we put in, because these were sitting on top of, right? These were sitting on top of that plate, these site trusses, and now we're hanging them. I don't know how we did it. I think they must have cut those back, because now there's a flush joint.
Cut them back 1.5 inches.
Yeah, cut them back 1.5 inches. Right, Dennis cut them back 1.5 inches. Good work.
Yeah.
Because Dennis, who just chimed in, was on the works for HFR framers. They did a fantastic job, and Dennis did a fantastic job. Plus, it was somebody I could tease every time I went there. It was great. So they cut those back 1.5 inches, and then they hung them with those U-shaped hangers. They hung every one of those site-built trusses, the bottom cord, to this big new glulam beam, right? So now this is gone. So now we can extend the slab, which we did, you know, slab on grade, has a footing, and we tied into it and we extended it. We extended the living room, you know, with a new footing. And in extending that living room, we have another roof, right? So rather than an intersecting gable or anything else, it's a shed that California's onto this roof. So there's an exterior wall built at the same plate height. And we did 2x8 rafters with a bird's mouth, and actually they were cut pretty flush because there's virtually no eave, and they were California'd onto the existing roof. So when you build a new roof to connect it to an existing roof and go onto that existing roof, that's called a California roof. And the truth is, I don't know why it's called a California roof. Does anybody? Okay. Somebody wants to find out, it'd be great. Tell us how the etymology of that happened. What else we got? We got any more? We got some questions? Questions about what you saw on the videos or what we went through and those animations on the book or anything like that? Anybody want a sip of, oh, I can't give you a sip. We're virtual, sorry. Plus you can't do that anyway because of COVID. Plus, we probably wouldn't even do it without COVID. Who takes a sip of their instructor's iced tea right out of the can? Nobody. But go ahead.
You know, when they're doing when they put my mind's going blank, your wall plugs and stuff, and wiring that they run, when you plug in an extension cord, how much power do you lose if you got to use an extension cord for something?
Okay, let me see if I understand what you're saying. When you plug in an extension cord into a regular duplex outlet, 15 amp outlet, that what we're talking about?
Now
Your regular residential outlet.
Residential outlet, and then you plug an extension cord into it. How much power do you lose?
Oh, well, you don't really lose.
Well,
that's a good question. That's a good question. There's going to be some voltage drop. You're going to have X amount of power at the outlet, based on the house being energized, and there's power run through that Romex. And if it's not a switched outlet, if it's a all the time hot outlet, it'll be hot. It'll have X amount of power. Should be 15 amps. You plug in an extension cord, depending on the length of the extension cord, you will probably have some voltage drop. Now, like a 10-foot, 15-foot, 20-foot extension cord, probably not much. Longer extension cords, you will have voltage drop, but I can't tell you exactly. But what I can tell you is if you plug in a relatively short extension cord, like a 25-footer or a 50-footer, you should get a minimum to no voltage drop. It's really the voltage drop starts happening when you get into 100-foot and beyond. Then you really start getting voltage drop. You just don't have enough power to keep that juice going that far, unless you're plugging in to at least, if your outlet's plugged is a 12 gauge, right? 12 gauge 2-wire, and you've got maybe a big extension cord that's 12 or 10 gauge, then you might have less voltage drop. But again, in hundreds of feet, you're going to have voltage drop. But if I was really wanting to know that, I'd be asking my electrician, not me. But that's my educated guessing. Hopefully that helps somewhat. Anybody want to clarify or jump in with another question? Anybody? Okay, who wants to guess what kind of a sandwich my wife made for me for lunch today?
Tuna.
That's an excellent guess. Who was that?
Brenda.
Okay, Brenda. I did not, but that was one of the choices.
Oh.
One of the choices, and I opted for the other choice. She gave me
peanut butter.
That was another choice. Oh my God, you guys are incredible. You're psychic.
That's healthy. Protein.
That was the first choice. I said no, almond butter and jelly, but then back to, as it turned out, tuna was the choice that I opted for. What's my next choice? Chicken. Yeah, chicken. When I said chicken, how about a chicken salad? She said, oh, chicken. I go, yeah, the Costco canned chicken. There's a plug for Costco. I get paid for that, by the way. Plug for Costco canned chicken, which is killer, with Trader Joe's organic sweet pickle relish, small pieces of celery, a little bit of mustard, mayo, Dijon mustard.
I like it with green onion, Clausen pickles, celery, mayo, and spicy mustard, a little bit of spicy mustard.
I love all of that, but you lost me at the onions. I can't take that. I can't take raw onions. Some people like die for onions and garlic.
Not even the green onion, huh?
Say again, please.
You don't even like the green onion?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I can eat them, and I won't pick them out or anything like that. But no, yeah. I'm not an onion guy. Cooked onions, yeah, I love cooked onions and cooked garlic, but not raw. When there was a time in my life when I was surrounded by a lot of fools, and I used what I called fool's medicine, which was I'd take a handful of Spanish peanuts and garlic cloves and eat them up, and nobody would come near me. You know what I mean? Because the thing about when you eat a lot of garlic, you know, you reek garlic, and the only people that can really stand to be around you are the people that have to be around you and the people that are also eating garlic. So
I used to be an office manager for a plumbing company, and the owner's father, he used to own his own plumbing company as well. So he would help his son out, even though he was in his 80s. But he would always have his clove of garlic that he would just eat just right there with, and chase it with apple cider vinegar. It just
man, that guy's probably lived to be 1,000,000.
Oh, he was in his 90s when he passed.
Unreal. I mean, it's healthy stuff. It's a good, healthy way to live. So,
Boy, did he stink.
yeah, I can't take garlic eaters all that much, but nothing personal if you're a garlic eater. What questions about the stuff we went over? Questions about floor framing? I'll do more. We have done wall frame. I'm not sure what Jim's doing next week, but I'm going to hopefully tailor whatever lab I do to what Jim's doing. But do I have questions about what you saw, or what I said, or the book? Anybody at all? You know, Dennis, I want to just give a shout out to Dennis here, who's one of our class mates, one of your classmates, Dennis Vega. He worked for Hayward's Lumber, which is a great way to get a start in the construction industry, because Hayward's is also a great company. But he was learning the trade as a lumberman, you know, learning about board feet and quantities and types of wood. Oh, I'm going to stop. Well, actually, I'll finish, Dennis, and then I want to go back and tell you something. But so Dennis made the transition, and from there to got onto a framing crew, this HFR framing that's run by Hilario and his brother Roberto. And he was on my job. It was great to see him. And you know, his lead guy was Rigo. These guys are just amazing, amazingly quick and accurate and clean framers. And let me tell you that the thing that, besides the attitude of the guys, the efficiency of the guys, the way they kept themselves on their job, and as consistent as they were, you know, a couple of things happened that I wasn't happy with. Like a couple of openings were framed at 80, exterior openings were framed at 82, not 83. 83 was the rough opening call out. And, you know, it happens all the time. But what's most impressive is that when I was alerted of it on the job, I called Roberto, he answered. In 2 hours, I had 2 framers there, and an hour after that, the openings were 83. So that's the kind of stuff that counts, the kind of service you got, you know, because you can't catch it all. Mistakes will be made. You will miss things. It will happen on every job, and it will happen more than once. But you will take care of it. Somebody will take care of it, and that's the stuff that people remember. They remember the kind of service they got. So service, be service oriented and service minded, and I think you'll do well. Questions? Any other questions? Questions for me? Okay, so I mentioned a grade of lumber when we first walked up to the ADU with Hilario, on that nicely done fir framed, large framed, not a pergola, but that entry pop out foyer. It wasn't really a foyer because that's inside, but the entry pop out, those large members, they had, you know, double 6x6 posts, and then it was a 6x header, and then that nice fascia let in on the king post. So all of that stuff I said was DF #1 select expose FOHC, which is free of heart center. That's, if you're going to get something that's going to show in construction grade material, that's what you want to call out. DF, which is Douglas fir #1 grade. That's lumber's graded, but selected, actually selected by eye as #1. There's #1s and #2s. And then select expose is selected by eye, by a lumberman that says, okay, that could be exposed. And then FOHC is free of heart center. Free of heart center, because the heart center is the most unstable part of the wood. Has tendency to cup, has tendency to whine and bend and check. So you want to avoid that, especially in structural members. And then this brings up an anecdote to mind, because a very, very prominent architect who's also a friend of mine, drawn something for a house we were doing for up on TV Hill for God, that's bad. Anyway, it'll pop into my head, but kind of a famous guy. I can't think of his name. But anyway, he called out, it was a staircase to a loft, and he called out this very intricate drawing of the staircase with let in 4x treads, and he called out all the lumber to be FOHC. And so we did the lumber we did it in DF number 1, select exposed FOHC. And then when we built it, he got in touch with me and said that was supposed to be clear. He said that was supposed to be clear lumber. Now, clear means no knots. That's what clear means. It means no knots. Clear fir is a whole other ballgame than DF number 1. DF number 1 is not clear. Knots are acceptable. I don't even think it's designated as STK, which is solid tight knots, but knots are acceptable in FOHC. FOHC does not mean clear, but this very prominent architect thought that FOHC meant clear. And I go, no, it doesn't mean clear. It just means, free of heart center. So anyway, it was amicable. And what we did is we took the 3 or 4 or 5 offending knots that they didn't like, and we bored them out with a Forstner bit, which is a flat bottom bit that gives you the cleanest hole. We took plugs, like 1.5 plugs. We made plugs from clear parts of the same stock, had no knots in it. And then we glued them in. We grain matched and glued them in. So we eliminated the knots. And it was either that or tear the whole thing out and get clear lumber, which nobody wanted to do, at least of all us. Questions? Questions at all? Come on. Nobody has any questions about this? You can ask me anything. Well, no, not really. But nobody has any questions? Okay, I'm going to give you one more chance for questions. No? All right, well, then I'm going to get cracking because I got stuff to do. Next week, we'll go longer. And I'm going to say goodbye. So if you don't have any questions, it looks like everybody got on. We got closed captioning worked out. Way to go, ladies. Good work. You got to see videos. And if we have trouble with volume and stuff like that, let me know. We'll get this thing dialed in. And I'll see you all next week at 9 o'clock on Saturday. Pray for good weather. Okay? Okay.
Sounds good, Rodney.
Hey, you guys. Great to
have
see
a good
all
one.
of you.
Rodney.
Great to see all.
Thank you, Rodney.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. You guys are a fantastic class. And Brenda and Jose, you come from Hesperia. I love it.
Hey, Rodney.
Say Dennis, captioner, we got that worked out. Okay, good. And I'm the host now. That's really good. And Catherine, always good to see you. When are we going to see you, Kat? We got to get together. We got to go for a motorcycle ride. We ride motorcycles, my wife and I, with Kat and her man, while we still can.
Oh yeah, we go motorcycle riding up here all the time. We have a Can-Am.
What do you guys have? What do you ride?
Now and one quad left, but we sold our other quads, and we used to have dirt bikes, but yeah.
Fun stuff. I have a Harley Road Glide that weighs 754 pounds. And, I tipped it over a couple of weeks ago, and I can't lift. I can't get it back up. I can't get it back up.
Oh gosh, so you're talking street bike riding?
Yeah. I ride a full
Right?
dresser. Full dresser.
We're talking like
cruise
dirt
control,
depot.
Frisco pegs, CD player. Right? Oh man, I fell asleep riding my bike more than once. Oh,
We hear music while we're in the Can-Am, but
I'm gonna stop recording.